So we are about 24 hours out from yesterday's new moon in Capricorn. Okay, and so this new moon in Capricorn, it's the first new moon of 2026, and it actually is a moon that is kicking off a lot of the themes that we are going to be dancing with, jousting with in 2026. So 2026, when you break it down, I want to give you the Capricorn connection here. When you break down 2026, 2 plus 2 plus 6, you get the number 10, okay? The number 10 is a Capricorn number. Furthermore, yesterday, when we had the new moon in Capricorn, it occurred in most places on the 18th of January. 18, the day, plus 1, the month, is 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 2026, again, is 10. So yesterday's date in and of itself was a 10-10 portal. The sun was in Capricorn at 28 degrees and the moon was in Capricorn at 28 degrees. 28, when you break it down, 2 plus 8 it equals 10. Another 10-10 portal. Okay, so this energy also, now that I think about it, it might be connecting also to last year's 10-10 portal. So think about what was going on for you back then. There might be some kind of a connection in terms of, I haven't gone into it, it just came into my mind. I haven't gone into it in my own looking at the energies, which I probably will do once I get off camera. But on a personal level, you can also take a look at what was going on for you through the 10-10 portals, because something might be closing out, something might be growing or amplifying from that energy too. Okay, so my name is Solarah. I'm here to do your new moon in Capricorn Tarotstrology Ascension report. I am not a traditional astrologer, so if you are a stickler for astrological lingo, astrological precision, astrological, you know, I don't know, like strategy, I'm probably not the one for you. I use a system of my own creation, which I have named Tarotstrology. I go into the chart of the moons, the full and the new moons, and I read the energy of the chart through astrology, yes, but also through tarot, through numerology, and through channeled messages that I receive directly through interfacing with the chart, but also in the collective energies I've been picking up in the lead up to every lunation. Okay, so you are welcome here for as long as you are in alignment with my frequency and what it is I am here to share with you. Okay, let me begin. All righty, so what is also very interesting is how this new moon is linking back to the full moon in Cancer we had 2 weeks ago. And how is it doing that? Through the degree. Okay, so we have the sun and the moon in Capricorn at 28 degrees, and 28 degrees just happens to be a degree of Cancer. And Capricorn and Cancer are, of course, sister signs. So the full moon that occurs when the sun is in Capricorn will always be the full moon in Cancer. And that full moon in Cancer was quite the moon, right? And so we have some kind of reconnection, not only with the energy of that moon, but what Cancer energy is doing in general throughout these new moons that have been occurring at this degree. And I think they began to shift into this 28-degree place around Scorpio season. So maybe the new moon in Scorpio or the new moon in Sagittarius. No, I think maybe the new moon in Scorpio was the first new moon at this degree. We have 4 of them back to back, new moons in you know, they're in these signs at 28 degrees, right? And this is important because it's showing you something. It's showing you that we are at a place of both completion and birth, right? That's what the 1-0 is. 1-0 is creational code. 1-0 is binary. It's creational code. It's where the two, what we would call the two polarities can come together to create something, to create a third. It begins with the binary, right? The 1 and the 0. So we have, you know, that theme of creation. And then because you're dealing with 28 being a Cancerian degree, we're also talking about the grids of the earth, the ley lines of the earth being rebooted. And we're also talking about dragon energy very powerfully. And so the dragon energy comes through comes through the Cancer sign very specifically, and unicorn energy comes through Capricorn very specifically. And dragon and unicorn energy together are guardians of the vaults in the sky that connect to the vaults on the earth, and how they work with us when we are in proper alignment to keep us replenished, to be able to work in our purpose without the sacrifice and slave schemes and agendas that the false matrix had us adhering to. Okay, so before I get into that, I just want to make my announcements very quickly to get them out of the way. I do have a new decree that I just published and released this past Saturday. It is a renunciation of Atlantean control architectures. So a lot of what we are dealing with through this year, being a Capricorn year, is returning to the proper structures and the proper expressions of power that were usurped through Atlantean control agendas. Now, in the Atlantean timelines, they started to put intermediaries between us and source. And this is where we started to externalize the guidance of our own souls. And that guided us all the way away from self, away from source, and into the dysfunction, the discord, and the fuck shit that right now we are exiting out of. So the root energy of that really came through the Atlantean experiments, right? And controlling other people's stories, narratives, paths, etc. And so we have been deeply, and I mean deeply, programmed by these control structures, right? And a lot of that we have become consciously aware of, but this year it's really dealing with where it's been so deeply implanted in our bodies of existence across time, and how it's coming out now for clearance. It's coming out in a myriad of ways, including the false hierarchical social structures, the false hierarchical templates within relationships. All of it is coming up to be exposed and to be cleared, because all of those templates actually promote discord and dysfunction. Okay, so this particular decree is about renouncing and clearing out where we have unconsciously come into agreement to outsource our power, outsource in a myriad of ways, out of, ignorance, lack of awareness, survival, trauma, etc. Okay, so that's the new decree that's available. It's on my Ko-Fi, and I will put the link in the description box and comment section below. If you're interested in a soul recovery session with me, a 60 or 90-minute one-to-one, I will put the link to book for that also below. If you're interested in a tea time session with me, that's a 30-minute session specifically and exclusively for returning clients. It's kind of just a quick catch up if you don't want to do a full 60-minute session. I will put the information for booking with me through the description box below too. I also have a new bespoke decree service. So if you are looking to have a decree, a personalized decree written by me for what it is that you're going through specifically, that service is available now. It's available through my commissions, the commissions tab in my Ko-Fi, but I will also put the link below. And there are two options. You can either email me and tell me your situation, and I will create a decree from that conversation, or you can also book in for a quick 30-minute session. We'll talk it through. I'll take notes. I'll go away and create the decree for you. I am no longer going to be doing Tarotstrology full rebirth soul mapping one-to-one readings as of April. I opened 10 slots at the beginning of the year. I have a few slots still available. So if you want me to go through the entirety of your chart, very similar in the same way that I do it here, but with more detail. It's a map of your own soul through your birth chart that I channel, use astrology, tarot, numerology, etc. for. Then please email me for information about that or to book that. SOLARAH'S@proton.me. It's about a 2.5 hour video session, one-to-one with me. So please be aware that it is quite time dense. Okay. If you would like to support me, you'd like to buy me a coffee, you'd like to tip me, I'll put my Ko-Fi information below for you to do that also. If you would like to support the work that I do and my ability to show up here replenished and for my overflow instead of my depletion, I thank you for that. You can also do that through my Ko-Fi. I will be returning to writing energy updates, and I will be sharing with you on the community board. I will be giving you more information in the upcoming days about that. If you were on my solarah.xyz platform when I closed it down on November the 1st, and you were a paying member, then you did receive an email from me today, also with a new moon in Capricorn energy update report. Okay, so please stay tuned into the community board to hear more about where you can find my writing moving forward. Okay, let's get back into this. Okay, excuse me, let me clear my throat. Excuse me. Excuse me. Alrighty. The sun and the moon in Capricorn at 28 degrees. So that would be the sun card, the devil, and the Four of Pentacles. The moon card, the devil, and the Four of Pentacles. But let's talk about the devil, because people, people get their knickers in a twist a bit when it comes to that devil card, right? So the devil card, it is the card of Capricorn. It's the number 15 card in the major arcana of the tarot. What the devil card is actually here to teach us and to show us is our relationship to the material. Because we are multidimensional beings with several bodies of existence that connect us to various planes. We are not simply material beings. And when we forget who we are and choose to align with fake narratives that tell us we are purely material, we really fuck ourselves over grandly, right? And this is what the devil card speaks about, because when we become too materially minded to the detriment of our other, bodies, our mental bodies, emotional bodies, etheric bodies, when we become too materially minded, we get so lost that we start looking for the harmony that can only come from being in a state of oneness with self, outside of ourselves. And when we do that, when we open that door to try to find satisfaction outside of our own souls, primarily, then we open the doors to addiction and to obsessive behaviors, because we are frantically, actually unconsciously, we are frantically trying to find that place of peace that only comes from being at one with self and source. And they knew this in the false matrix, which is exactly why they programmed us into believing that everything existed on the material planes, and everything we were supposed to do for our happiness or to get ahead was based on material effort. And what that does to your soul is that you are unable to find satisfaction outside of your soul print. And every time you may have reached a certain threshold or goal within the false matrix, purely through material pursuit that they told you was supposed to make you happy, what probably happened was you got there and then you realize, what the fuck? I need more. I want more, right? And some people then begin to wake up and go internally and go within and be like, well, why am I not satisfied? Why am I so dissatisfied? And then other people think, well, if I'm not satisfied with this, then I need to do more materially. I need to accrue more materially. And this is where the soul gets really fucked, because the further away you move by pursuing the material, the more it's harder to get back. Let's put it that way, right? So this actually is a very smart mechanism within your soul to keep you in alignment with self. but it's only a smart attunement if you realize what it's for. And that is that the mechanism was designed when you had conscious awareness of who you are and your soul's path, so that you would know that you had veered off your course. Ding, ding, ding. I'm not feeling right. I'm not feeling satisfied. Nothing is hitting the mark for me. So this must mean it's not for me. Let me go within, recalibrate, and get back on the path to what is right for me. That's really what it's supposed to do when you are aware of what that mechanism is there for. But of course, in the false matrix, they made sure that they did everything they could to ensure that you would not know, you would not wake up, you would not recognize your own instruments, your own tools, your own light body and how you work. You would not know that it's actually nothing that you do on the material. The material is just a mirror of everything that's going on in the invisible. And you actually can't shift anything in the material outside of a loop without adjusting on the other planes. When you consistently just shift on the material and do things materially, then you are continually looping. And that's exactly what they wanted, because when you are looping, you're not evolving. When you're not evolving, you enter into death and decaying cycles. When you're not evolving, you can be more easily controlled, and you can also be harvested, because the farther you move away from yourself, the more you lose your protections. Your protections are natural when you are in alignment with source and your truth. Yes? Okay, so with all that being said, what does that got to do with the new moon in Capricorn and what it's introducing for us? Because the new moon introduces its seeds, right? There's a seed that has been planted through this new moon in Capricorn energy. And it's a big seed, because it's a seed that's going to have a huge effect on how we move through our year. Yes. And only because, again, it is a Capricorn year. That seed is actually, it's showing us that there's a seed that's being planted into the new grid systems of the earth. So the old grid systems that were very much connected to the Atlantean control structures and templates are dying out, and we have new grids, and we've also got old grids resurrecting. That's an important thing to know, because the new grids are made possible by the original grids that were under the overlays of the false matrix and Atlantean grids, the false grids, right? So we have the original grids and templates that are also able to resurrect on the earth again. There's been a lot of Lemurian energy, for example, flooding the earth of late, especially through the full moon in Cancer. And that's because a lot of the Lemurian templates and grids are able to come back online on the earth again. So we've got the resurrection of some of the original grids that existed on the earth that were designed for us to live in harmonic resonance and correct relationship with source, one another, with source, self, one another, and the earth. We've got those that are coming back online, but we've also got new grids that are being seeded for this golden age, right? So this would be a Capricorn seed. This would be a Capricorn energy that's being seeded. So what's being seeded? New structures that support the real laws of the earth coming back online, the laws that support our harmonic coherence with self and one another and source and the earth, right? A seed that's also restoring how we connect with time and cycles, because we have been being controlled and enslaved and imprisoned by their time and their cycle structures here. And that's not how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be, time's bitch. You're not supposed to be the loop's bitch. The loop is supposed to be your bitch. Time is supposed to serve you in your purpose. We're not actually all supposed to relate to time in the same way, because when we all relate to time in the same way, it brings forth discord. It brings forth dysfunction, because we all have our personal relationship with time that has to do with who we are and our own source encoded blueprint and what time is supposed to do in terms of serving that purpose we're here to fulfill. So we're not all supposed to be on the same clock. We're not. We're not all supposed to have the same biological clock. We're not. We're not supposed to do everything the same way every single fucking day. There's such a thing as a basic routine, and there's such a thing as following intuitively where it is you're supposed to be, because you're so trusting of your own soul to lead you. The routines that we've been taught are discipline. It's a lie. We hold on to routines so that we feel secure in a world that taught us we're not safe to trust ourselves. And that's not me poo-pooing on routine. You can have a routine, but is your routine rooted in your truth, in time serving you, in the cycle and the loop serving you? Or are you the routine's bitch? And this is what this new moon in Capricorn is helping us to see in a myriad of ways. And this is what this year is about reclaiming. It's about reclaiming our power and our authority from everything that is supposed to be, in service to us, that we've become slaves to. You see, in the false matrix, they used the shadow energy of Capricorn to get us very disconnected from our own power in the pursuit of false power that they then called success. But it wasn't ever success. It was ultimate self-betrayal most of the time, right? So we're taking back our power and our authority from all the ways we have been actually harvested through these false power structures, and we've been duped and programmed into producing for them while thinking we were doing it for self, but really we weren't. We weren't, right? So let's talk about the Four of Pentacles and the significance of what that means for the new moon, but also for the wider Capricorn theme of what is unwinding for many of us in 2026. So before I get into that entirely, let me just preface this by saying that both Cancer and Capricorn are deeply connected to nervous system health. Okay, so Cancer is the sign through which your nervous system is established. Cancer is the first womb energy on the zodiac wheel, and it connects us to mother. It connects us to the mother energy of all things, but it connects us also to our own biological mother. And it's through our biological mother that our nervous systems begin to be set and programmed in utero and then later on in life. And so the foundation that our mothers give us, especially emotionally, set the foundation for how we are able to connect with others, connect with the world through our nervous system as an interface. Now, when you've been traumatized again and again, your nervous system is in a constant state of fight or flight. And I'm not talking about just big traumas. I'm talking about the trauma of being separated from yourself and source. That would be the first big trauma, and that they continually enforce upon you in the false matrix. So everyone was put into survivor mode. And in survivor mode, your nervous system does not know how to be in a consistent state of being regulated. And so then what we were taught to do was to use other people to regulate us, or other things outside of ourselves to regulate our nervous systems temporarily, which of course then only feeds the energy harvesting and siphoning dynamics. Now, Capricorn is where you begin to learn how to regulate your nervous system to hold all that you are, to really hold your power. Divinely, it's through Capricorn, because Capricorn is the sign of the zodiac through which you begin to master the material. You begin to master your ability to hold materially who you are multidimensionally, or at least that's what it's supposed to do. So a lot of that information, that wisdom, it's coming back online through you, and it's coming back online onto the earth through this new moon activation. And it's a story that's going to continue to unfold throughout 2026, because it's time for us to learn how to regulate our own nervous systems through the reconnection to source, but also through the reconnection of our truth and our power, and how it is that we are actually designed to be able to do that without external help. And it's so much deeper than just the self-regulation that comes from breathing. It's like a whole codex of how to look after you based upon who you are, right? And this is what is wanting to come back online. And even, you know, the other sign of the zodiac that's been like talking to me really quite feverishly over the past couple of weeks is Aries. And we don't have like a whole lot of Aries energy happening right now, but we got Aries in, we got Chiron in Aries, which is huge, right? We've got Chiron in Aries, and we've got it at 22 degrees, a degree of mastery, and a degree of Capricorn, a degree of material mastery. So some of our greatest stories, our greatest chironic wounds and cycles, or chironic loops, I should say, have to do with the forgetting of who we are and what that has meant for the decisions we've made. And Aries is a sign of the zodiac that connects you directly with the mind of God, and your mind when it's in alignment with your source encoded truth. It is your I am energy. Even if you have no Aries in your chart, your ascendant is your Aries energy. It's what crowns you as you enter the earth. You enter through your birth chart. The door into your existence, as the sky is depicted in your birth chart, it is through the ascendant. That's your Aries energy. That's your entry into existence. So Aries crowns you in terms of who you are, your I am truth. And the false matrix then does everything to take that crown away and take you out of position. And so Chiron in Aries at 22 degrees is like telling us all, take back your motherfucking crown. Remember who you are and start to move from that place. Break yourself out of the loops, the cycles that are based upon you following stories that are not coded in your truth, and trying to build your life from that place. The lies that other beings have put on you, the projections that you've had to carry because you didn't know who you were, they didn't know who they were in source. And everyone's been living these fucking myths and narratives based upon the limitations of what the false matrix said that you could be, as opposed to who you are. And the Chiron in Aries at 22 degrees says, master your Chiron story by remembering your I am, and bring that onto the earth. Bring that into your timelines now. So to get back to what I was speaking about with this new moon and this Capricorn energy of 2026 and the nervous system and the regulation of it, you are not able to hold the fullness of the potential of your power if your nervous system isn't coded into the regulatory status it needs to do so. And this is what this new moon is helping us to do also. We were taught time and time again to sacrifice our nervous systems for our survival or for others. And this Capricorn new moon, this energy of Capricorn throughout 2026 is showing us how to stop doing that, how to stop thinking that our power and the things that make us feel safe can be accessed through any form of self-sacrifice. And I think I did mention this before, but I don't think I expounded upon it. This 2026, because you're dealing with Capricorn, it's a year that's ruled by Saturn, but it's also ruled by Jupiter because of the tarot card. The number 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. So you're dealing with a Saturnian and year, but you're also dealing with the Jupiter themes too. And Saturn and Jupiter together are the planets of law. Saturn gets a very bad rep for who it actually is and what it's here to do. Saturn is here to restore you to your rightful place of power, but it does so by helping you know where it is you need to be at any given time to be able to hold that. Now, they use that against you in the false matrix to bind you into loops that you had no business being in because you had probably long ago evolved past it, which then creates dire contention in your soul. It's a trauma in and of itself to be stuck and contained in a loop that you don't belong in. And they knew that too, which is why everything in the false matrix was about speaking about what was happening externally, and it was about appearances, because heaven forbid we be honest about what is actually going on inside of us internally. That would expose ultimately how everything externally they were telling us was truth was a sham. This is why they don't want people talking about their stories. They say that you're stuck in your victimhood, or they victim shame. That was a practice that was set up very specifically, again, in the false matrix, to keep people stuck in internal states of trauma with no way out, because they couldn't even express it without being re-traumatized, without being bullied back into holding that trauma loop. These are all Saturnian and Capricorn themes. These are all the energies that we have been programmed into to make sure that the timelines we materialized would never match who we actually are. So we would be perpetually uncomfortable in those timelines. And then we would seek to do better, not by, making contact with our souls, but by going after something else in the material. The exposure, for those of you who are committed to your path, the exposure of all the little ways we've been taught unconsciously to do this, it's coming up. It's coming up in big ways. It's coming up in beautiful ways. I don't want this to be doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom at all. It's liberation. It's liberation, like cranked up. It's a beautiful thing. It's a difficult thing at times, but it's a beautiful thing. Like even in the making of this video, I was supposed to do this yesterday. I had endeavored to do this yesterday, but when it came time, I was just really fucking tired. And I had to surrender to my own soul's timing. And this is what this energy is here to help us do. And it's uncomfortable to the ego most of the time, the wounded ego. It's uncomfortable where the ego needs to come to under submission again to the soul. And that's because the false matrix exploited our egos, had to do that in order to keep our souls away from us, or keep us away from our soul's truth. So it's uncomfortable in the sense that it goes against the deep programming that tells us that only if we do certain things are we going to be okay. But that actually is another Capricorn and Saturnian mechanism that I like to call an internal punishment program that was seeded in us through the Atlantean control grids. And it's being uprooted, and there's a new planting that's happening in the grids. And what is this internal punishment system? You were taught to punish and shame yourself based upon milestones, goals that have nothing to do with who you are on a soul level. You were taught to punish yourself, and then even within the groups, within social, the social templates of the false matrix, it was all designed to punish and to survey, and like for surveillance, to keep us in check, to make sure that we wouldn't access ourselves, right? So you were taught that you had to do something a certain way, and if you didn't, you were lazy, you were worthless, you were this, you were that. And the fear of being lazy and worthless, or whatever, was the wording that they cued into you. The fear of being that was what kept you doing it. You did it out of duty, out of fear of being punished. Same within group settings. You might have thought certain things or felt a certain way, but fear of upsetting, oftentimes the leading energy in the group is what kept you quiet. But you see, every time you did this, every time you chose to be quiet when you should have spoken, or every time you chose to punish yourself for being out of alignment with rules that don't adhere to who you are, and then put yourself back into that position versus breaking out of that fucking rule that isn't even a real rule. Every time you did that, you were betraying your own soul. And we do it all the time in the smallest of ways, but because it's so ingrained in us, we don't even realize it. This is the year of realizing it. This is the year of mastering your loop, mastering your cycles, seeing all of the places where you've been taught to bow to something or someone outside of you instead of to the throne of your own soul, where your I am truth sits, that is directly connected to the mind and the plan of source. That internal punishment system, I just want to talk about it a little bit more because it's a gnarly one, right? It's gnarly because it existed also so that you would, when you felt like you wanted to move in a direction that would break you out of the narrative they needed you to adhere to in the false matrix, you were punished for it. Many of you know, like on this journey through ascension, when you start to move out of the false matrix by making plans that honor yourself, all of a sudden something comes in to cause complete collapse and mayhem in your life. That's showing you all the ways you were energetically fenced in and punished for moving out of those fences. It happened within, on a personal journey. It happened within social settings and groups. Everything in the false matrix was a policing operation to make sure that you stayed locked away from yourself, your power, your I am truth, and the expression of it. And this Capricorn energy is helping you to regulate your nervous system enough to be able to do what you need to do to be free. And not only to be free, because let's talk about what Capricorn energy does also. Capricorn, in its source encoded divine truth, is actually the sign of the zodiac that shows us how to properly relate to time and cycles from the time of something being seeded to the time where it grows into a harvest that becomes a legacy. Saturn and Capricorn are interested in the long game. So the foundations that are being set this year through the clearing of the false Saturnian, false Capricorn energies that have dictated how we move in duty, the clearing of that is making way for a true foundation where we're able to reseed ourselves back onto the earth in ways where we begin to produce longevity and legacy that is rooted in our source encoded truth. This is what this is a year of not only alignment, it's a year of mastering your cycle, mastering the loop, making the loop serve you, making time serve you for the purpose of creating timelines that come together in consolidation to create a real foundation to promote legacy again on the earth. And what is legacy? I've told you guys this time and time again, legacy, because Capricorn is very connected to legacy, so is Virgo. You know, legacy is not about having a building named after you. It's not about having X amount of money in the bank, leaving children behind on the earth. Those can be extensions of legacy, but true legacy is your ability to come onto the planet, bring your own special brand of energy here, along with the resources you've been given to live in your purpose, to bring those resources and to multiply them within yourself and amongst others, to utilize the power of your staying in harmonic resonance and growing and multiplying through that. And as a result, leave the earth energetically in a better place because you existed. Leave the earth more in tune with her own harmonic resonance. Leave others more in tune with their harmonic resonance because you stayed true to your own while you were here. Your existence amplified harmony. That's legacy. And here's a really interesting thing about it, right? Is that every time you've been here on the earth, every time you've been here, and the legacy codes you've left behind by existing, even if they were not publicly, applauded, the true legacy codes you've left here through existing, they still are here. And through this shift in the grids, this Capricorn energy of 2026, those legacy codes are being resurrected. Why? Because it's time for you to remember who you are in your power. It's time for you to begin to connect to the remembrance of everything the false matrix tried to make you forget so it could control you, your system, and your timelines. Oof, I'm going in right now, right? I just want to make sure I'm capturing everything I need to say, though. Mercury in Capricorn. Oh, let me say one more thing about the sun and the moon, because they were expressing themselves through 28 degrees of Capricorn, and they both were at the 43rd minute, 43. That's 7/7. 7 is another number of, it's a number of Saturnian order. Things that must come into order for the purpose of harmonic resonance and coherence. It comes through the number 7. It's one of the numbers. And furthermore, the 4 and the 3 have to do masculine and feminine principles, or you could say the polarities that need to come into order to create harmony. And the way those polarities come into order is going to be different in everyone and for everyone. Some of us have more darkness than light because of who we are and what we're here to do. Some of us have more masculine and feminine energy, or at any given time, we're going to be called to be more dark or more light or more masculine or more in our feminine energy because of either who we are or what the chapter calls for, the cycle calls for, the season calls for. And that is something that you can only perfect as you know yourself and come into a level of self-mastery where you're not moved by how other people think about you or what it is you've been told is okay, because you're going within your own soul to remember how it is you're supposed to move and how you're supposed to utilize polarity to keep you in harmonic resonance internally and to keep you connecting with and interfacing with everything in ways that you are amplifying harmonic codes also. And this is why, like, even with the North Node right now, you know, being at the 11-degree mark, it's such a huge thing for this, because the North Node right now is in Pisces at 11 degrees. 11 degrees, 11 is a degree of Aquarius, but 11 is a master number also that connects us to gates that are opening. Gates open, they let things in, they let things out. So what is this Piscean gate opening to let in and to let out at the North Node? And then the South Node, of course, is in Virgo at 11 degrees. Well, Pisces is a final sign of the zodiac wheel. It's the end point. We're coming out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, which is also being shown. North Node in Pisces at an Aquarian gate. So what is occurring here? Pisces is a sign of the zodiac where in its mastery, we learn how to be in a state of oneness with all without losing ourselves. This is why Virgo and Pisces work together, because Virgo is like, don't lose yourself, Pisces. Don't lose yourself in the mutability of the waters. And Pisces says, okay, Virgo, but don't fully separate and isolate yourself from the world and from the earth. So they work together to keep each other in check. So we're at a Piscean Virgo gate through the nodes, which shows us also that this is occurring in terms of how the grids are being restructured, right? So we are being gifted the wisdom again of how to master the cycle and the loop. Because Piscean energy is how you choose to exit the cycle or exit the loop. And if you don't, if you get lost in the collective themes that cause you to lose yourself, you miss your exit point. And this is why the shadow aspect of Pisces is that propensity that we all have, right, to martyr and sacrifice ourselves for the greater cause. We were taught to do that. That's one of the greatest age of Pisces psyops. And they use Jesus Christ to really drive that home. He died for you. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't die for you. That's blasphemous. That goes against source code. Yeshua didn't die for anyone, die for your sins. That goes against source code. It's not true. It's not true. But it was a way to get you to feel guilty and to feel ashamed and to get you to emulate that behavior in the world so that you felt like you were holy and you were noble. It's also very egoic. I'm better, I'm superior, but I'm superior in a way where I'm very pious about it. Fuck that. Fuck a bunch of that. Okay, so you're not here to betray yourself for anyone or anything. You're not here to lose yourself in the collective story. You're not here to sacrifice yourself for the group. You're not here to do any of that shit. And so all of the ways we've been programmed against ourselves through these mind control agendas and initiatives that were seeded through the Atlantean control grids and then perpetuated, especially through the religious templates of the false matrix. The gateway within your own soul to help you identify the loops, help you identify your cycles, help you to see clearer where your exit points are in order to rise into the cycles that you want to be in, the loops that you want to serve you. What do I mean? What do you mean, Solara, when you say the loops that serve us aren't loops like things we don't want to be in? No. Loops they exist for a reason. They're here to serve you. If you find something you really fucking love to do and you want to create a routine out of it, then you want to create a looping cycle for yourself to keep yourself true to that. That's how the loop is supposed to serve you. You're not supposed to be the loop's bitch where you're running around on a hamster wheel and you don't even know you're on a fucking hamster wheel. You think you're going somewhere, but you're not going there because you're completely deceived. That's where the loop fucks you over. That's not what it's for. The looping technology is there for you. It's there to serve you. Time is here to serve you, not to trap you, not to imprison you into doing things within a certain order that doesn't adhere to your soul's truth. This is what this year is really about too, especially with the South Node in Virgo, really helping us to clear out a lot of the ways we've learned to adhere to timing and rhythms and cycles and clocks that have fuck all to do with who we actually are. You have your own biological clocks. Unsubscribe from that bullshit where they tell you, when you reach a certain age, this is what's going to happen. Fuck that. The only reason that it keeps happening is because you believe it, and because it's been perpetuated through generations of believing it, that it's become so ingrained in your own biology, in your own DNA, in your own genetic sequences, that it has no choice but to continue to replicate that until you challenge it and say, no, that's not what's going to happen anymore. And yes, you have that biological authority over your own body and your own cells and your own DNA. You're not here to create the timelines of their false stories that even dictate to your biology how it's supposed to stay stuck. Nuh-uh. That's what Mercury in Capricorn is also about. That's what the magician, the underpinning magician energy of the year is about. It's about taking back your authority and your mastery over your own fucking energy and story, over your own nervous system, over losing these compliant scrolls, these scrolls of compliance and these scrolls of duty to things that never served you to begin with, and therefore actually don't serve others. It was all a lie. If it doesn't serve you and your own soul, it can't serve another. That's not how energy moves. In order to be useful to others, it has to be first useful to you. You're not here to shift and turn yourself into a pretzel for others. You're here to align and rise in your power and magnetize those that are a frequential match. Period. Venus and Pluto in Aquarius. Venus and Pluto are both in Aquarius at 1 and 3 degrees. So this is also, for me, how the Edenic grids are coming back on the earth planes. Those grids that are coded in your joy. And your joy is source coded. It's not just frivolous, false matrix pleasure. Your joy is that point within your own soul where you are so in alignment that you start to produce from a place of love and from a place of beauty and from a place of being so really like in love with yourself, in love with source, in love with who you are, and in love with life, because you are setting the script to produce that by following your own soul, your own soul's timing, your own script, your own blueprint. And that's what reconnects us to the Edenic grids. Eden isn't an external garden. Eden is found within before it begins to come out. You're a holographic being. All of this fuck shit is because we've been so out of alignment with our own selves. We created this external mess. It is a reflection of how far we descended within ourselves. And when we choose to go back within and come back into union, that 4 and the 3, the 7-7, that's the Emperor and the Empress also, the 7-7, I was telling you about the minutes of the sun and the moon. The 4 and the 3, the 43 minutes, that's the Emperor and the Empress. When you come back into union with yourself and all of the polarities, the polar energies, you learn how to master them to bring yourself into harmonic resonance. You reconnect with your Edenic gates and Edenic grids and timelines. And when you do that within yourself, the earth herself begins to shift, and those Edenic grids and templates start to rise for you and for the collective. It was always about our own connection with self, finding Eden again through coming back into union with self and with source. Can't come back into union with self if you're not connected with source though. So I feel like I'll keep saying it just for clarity's sake, but that's the truth also. What I missed here was that Mercury and Mars were in conjunction at the 26th degree of Capricorn yesterday too, which is interesting because Mars in its source encoded divine alignment is the masculine planet. It's the warrior planet that fights for right alignment, for righteousness or right alignment. So Mars and Capricorn at 26 degrees. 26 degrees, it is a degree of Taurus. It's a degree of Taurus. So this connects us to what I like to call your divine endowment that comes through the Divine Mother. And your divine endowment are the resources that you carry based upon who you are as a cosmological being, as well as what you are allotted to live out your purpose here on the earth and thrive. But you can't access your endowment if you don't first come back into complete alignment with who you are and your worth. That's what Taurus is about, the Taurus energy, right? So as you come back into alignment with who you are and what you're worth, that's what begins to unlock your endowment. That's what begins to unlock your access. And this is why everything in the false matrix was designed to promote lack, scarcity, poverty mindsets and timelines. Even in those you think are ultra wealthy, they were still running off of lack, scarcity, and poverty mindsets, a lot of them, the majority of them. Because lack, poverty, and scarcity is not about material wealth. It's about your connection to your soul, your connection to your worth, your ability to, from that place, connect with the value and the worth of all. So Mars and Mercury, these are in conversation together, but they're also conversing with us because Mercury is the planet that allows your mind to expand into and go into those places that you've been cordoned off of because of the programming, because of the fear, the guilt, the shame, whatever emotional frequency fence was used to keep you cordoned off and cordoned out of yourself and your truth. Mercury comes to blast you out of that. So Mercury in Capricorn at 26 degrees is speaking to you about your worth. It's speaking to you about moving in such ways where you amplify your worth by also looking after yourself in such a way where your nervous system can begin to hold who you are again. Hold who you are again. This year, it's a year about alignment that comes through embodiment. You can know who you are, but if you don't do the self-work, the human work also, the human work, because many people like to bypass through the spiritual. If you don't also do the human work to allow for yourself to embody who you are, it will continue to create timelines that collapse. Experiences that collapse, staying in the loop, because we must learn how to balance ourselves on all planes. And this is what I'm telling you, 2026 with this heavy Capricorn, Saturn, Jupiter focus, it's about mastering the material because we have allowed the material to master us. And in allowing the material to master us, we haven't looked after ourselves. We haven't looked after our bodies. We haven't looked after every aspect that connects to the material planes. This is what this year is about. So I think I'm going to end there. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was insightful. I hopefully will be back with you in another 2 weeks for the final full moon occurring at 13 degrees. It's the full moon in Leo. It's a big one. I'm excited about this one. It's a big one. Yes. So if my own soul's timing makes it so that I can be here, I will be here. Please make sure to stay tuned to the community boards where you will get more information on how to reconnect with me in my writing, as well as any new decrees that are coming out and new offerings. It's been a pleasure. If you don't recognize it, I adore talking about this stuff. I really do. Like, if I'm not talking about it with you guys, I am studying it for myself. So I thank you for taking this journey with me through the insights and the downloads that I have been uploading and receiving around the energies of this new moon and this year. And I hope that it helps you to come into deeper relationship with yourself and your own power, to come into harmonic resonance again on an internal level first. So I will see you again. And until I do, be well.